welcome back to Questions Over Coffee. My name's Kevin Smith. It's good to see you again. Want a cup of coffee? Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss anything that's coming up on Questions Over Coffee. If you have a comment or a question, leave it in the section below and we'll get to it just as fast as we can. Today, we are going to be looking at hospitality. This is a command that God has given us to observe as Christians, and one that we need to take very seriously. So what we're going to do is just look at 5 benefits of being hospitable to others, and I'm going to focus specifically on being hospitable to your fellow saints, to fellow Christians, whether they are someone that the local congregation would say is a visitor. I don't like that word, but still, or someone that you see every Sunday that you sit by and sing with, or whatever the case may be as you worship the Lord together. But let's take a look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, and we're going to look at verses 7 through 9 to get a little bit of groundwork. And we're going to also look at a different passage a little bit later, but let's deal with 1 Thessalonians at the moment. Again, this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 7 through 9. Let's read together. But we prove to be gentle among you, as a nursing mother tenderly cares for her own children. Having so fond an affection for you, we were well pleased to impart to you not only the gospel of God, but also our own lives, because you had become very dear to us. For you recall, brethren, our labor and hardship, how working night and day, so as not to be a burden to any of you, we proclaim the gospel to you. Okay, so you might be saying, Kevin, there's nothing there about hospitality. How does this fit? Well, that's a great question. Notice in verse 8, he talks about having so fond an affection that they not only shared the gospel, which, okay, we share the gospel with whoever will listen, right? But also they shared their own lives with them, okay? This is an incredible situation here where someone is willing to bless other Christians by letting them get to know them on more than a, hey, how's it going? But on a very personal level, on a very close friendship level, brotherly level, like we're supposed to as the family of God. So that's the first thing I would say, is we build an affection for one another as we show hospitality, because quite frankly, you're not really gonna get to know somebody well within the doors of the church building. You might get to know them some, and you might really enjoy the conversation some, but to really get to know them on a personal level, that's very unlikely. It takes going outside of the church building and spending time with that person or with that family to really get to know them and to build those bonds of unity that should be there. The second passage that we're going to look at will be the basis for the other 4 suggestions I have for the benefits of showing hospitality. We're going to actually look at 3 John, and we're going to look at verses 5 through 10. Beloved, you are acting faithfully in whatever you accomplish for the brethren, and especially when they are strangers, and they have testified to your love before the church. You will do well to send them on their way in a manner worthy of God, for they went out for the sake of the name, accepting nothing from the Gentiles. Therefore we ought to support such men, so that we may be fellow workers with the truth. I wrote something to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to be first among them, does not accept what we say. For this reason, if I come, I will call attention to his deeds, which he does, unjustly accusing us with wicked words, and not satisfied with this, he himself does not receive the brethren either, and he forbids those who desire to do so, and puts them out of the church. Okay, so there's the passage that we're looking at. Let's make some observations here. The second benefit I want to mention for showing hospitality is that we get to meet and get to know brethren. Like we just mentioned in the previous point, the chances of really getting to know someone within the doors of the church building, they're not very good. People tend to put on their best face and put their best foot forward on there. You're less likely to get to know them on a personal level. When we meet outside, whether it is for an activity or whether it is for dinner or whatever the case may be, people are more relaxed in most cases, and you actually get to know them and get to know their families, and that's a great blessing in most cases. The third thing I want to mention is kind of what Gaius did that John mentions in 3 John. He's putting up people that are passing through. It's not like, they could just hop the next plane and go to their next city real fast, or even just gas up their vehicle and go. Many times, they're maybe on horseback, probably not. They're probably walking quite a bit of the way, things like that. So they stop, they're tired. What he was probably doing was giving these passerbyers a place to stay, so that they didn't have to go stay with people in the hotels or in the inns. They didn't have to, keep going until they found a safer place to stay. They got to stay with brethren, but what does that mean to us? Well, for us here in Rock Springs, I-80 can't be trusted. The winter time, I-80 is, closed quite a bit. So when people are coming through, they may be aiming at going to Laramie. They may be aiming at going to Colorado. They may be aiming, going elsewhere, and they get stuck. So one thing we can do is, your brethren, you belong to the same body of Christ I belong to. Come stay with us. Now, this does require that we have at least a couch that they can sleep on, or maybe a floor that they can sleep on. But still, you're helping a Christian that is in need of just a place to stay. It's often just a one-night thing. You're meeting the needs just like Gaius did, as John's pointing out, sending them on their way with the things that they need. Number 4 is, a special case in a sense. Sometimes people are in, let's call it a life transition. They may be facing difficult times. In our case, we came back from overseas in 2014, and we didn't have hardly anything to our name because we spent 8.5 years overseas. So when we came in, the church here in Rock Springs had already basically set us up. They told us that we had things in the pantry that we could cook for a meal until we got a chance to go to the local Smith's. We had sheets on the bed. We had furniture that we could use, things like that they supplied. I mean, in many ways, yes, I was coming to be their preacher, but they didn't have to set us up so well. And they did. They set us up incredibly well. They were being very hospitable. Maybe they thought that was, a way to show hospitality. Maybe they were just being like Jesus. Either way, it was a great, great blessing to us as we were in our transition in life. I know of a situation where, not in Rock Springs, but some Christians that I know took in a homeless man after he had had surgery. He was sick, had nowhere to go, and the homeless shelter where they were would let them sleep there, but in the morning they had to leave until a certain time that evening. They couldn't just stay in bed and recover. So this couple took this gentleman into their home for a while, a couple of months, fed him, nursed him back to health until he was able to go and be healthy again. This was being hospitable. This was a great blessing to this man. And by doing so, they were meeting the needs of a gentleman that was down on his luck, a fellow brother that was down on his luck. So it was a great blessing, which brings me to point number 5. By being hospitable, the benefit we have is that we are obeying God. We've all made excuses why we can't be hospitable before. I'm almost certain of it. I know I have. I really don't want to do this. I'm kind of tired. But the fact is, God commands it. In many passages in the New Testament, hospitality is listed in the passage for things that Christians should be doing for one another. So simply, we're obeying. What more benefit do we need? We're seeking to honor our God and Savior. So I have a question for you. Do you show hospitality to the saints? Why? Why not? Leave me a comment in the section below. I look forward to reading these. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss anything that's coming up on Questions Over Coffee. Thank you for our time together today. I look forward to the next time. Keep pressing forward.